Ohio State beats Minnesota 37-3. The Buckeyes, kind of a slow start, 13-0 at halftime. You would have expected maybe a little bit more of an explosion there. Kyle McCord, he finishes like 20 for 30, but he started like 3 for 9 or something like that. So kind of a shaky start for Kyle McCord. You don't want to see that versus Michigan because, you want him to come out and punch them in the mouth a little bit, really get going. I don't know what it is about Kyle McCord. He's been struggling early in the games like this, but then eventually he just seems to get right. So, Sonny, what were your thoughts on this game?
I think the last time I was on the Big Ten Huddle, I talked about how, Ohio State seemed to be on a weekly basis getting better and better. And now that I'm on a few weeks later, like it's still holding true. With Michigan now, from the game we saw last week, kind of showing some kinks in the armor. Ohio State, just like they see their defense just seems to be supremely confident at this point. I think I saw like they're like top 5 defense in the country, depending on the metrics that you're looking at. And that's not traditionally what you think of when you think of Ohio State football. I know I've had casual conversations with, friends who are college football fans, not particularly Big Ten fans. And, they still go to the lazy comeback. Yeah, but the Ohio State defense is like, no, Jim Knowles is now in his, he's been there for a couple of years now. He's actually really built a really sound, steady defense. They're living on their defense at this point, whereas their offense is the more complementary aspect of the team. So, I think they're hitting their strides. And, I know we talked about, predictions for next week. And I've been monitoring it, like it was at like 8.5, Michigan minus 8.5 about a month ago. Then it went to 6.5. It was 5.5 before this past weekend started. It's now 3.5. So the line is creeping towards Ohio State. Almost everyone I've been talking to and discussing the game with is picking Ohio State. So, I mean, they've got the mojo at this point. They look like they're certainly playing. Yeah, they're certainly playing like the better team. Now, Michigan obviously has those outside distractions that contribute to the reason they may not be performing as well on the field. But if I'm a Buckeye fan, I'm feeling really good about this season so far. That they've taken on every single challenge that they've had, and they've taken care of business, and they've just got one more really difficult task left on Saturday.
Yeah, I think Jared Jones put it well here. I just can't get comfortable with McCord. He doesn't see open receivers and doesn't make great decisions. Frustrating. I think that's true in the beginning of the game, which you would think would be the opposite, right? You come in with those scripted plays, and I know that scripted plays aren't exactly boom, boom, boom this play, but you have a general idea of what you're going to call at the beginning of the game. And so you would think you work through those more, but that seems to be when Kyle McCord is at his worst, is at the beginning of the game. It's later on when he starts seeing those coverages a little bit better and picking guys apart. I mean, I still can't get the Notre Dame game at the end. I know he almost threw that one pick, but still, Emeka Egbuka streaking up the middle, that diving catch by Marvin Harrison Jr., which was still that was a really good throw and really good catch. It's interesting to see, TreVeyon Henderson has come back. He's one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the Big Ten. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been there all year. Emeka Egbuka looked like who Emeka Egbuka is, or is supposed to be in this game. So Ohio State has everything firing all cylinders. I just think it comes back to Kyle McCord. Your thoughts, Justin?
Yeah, I will say, Ohio State played a very efficient game. No turnovers,
Right.
And I think the biggest thing was 10 for 16 on third down. Like it seemed, I looked that up because it seemed like every single third down they picked up. That's what it felt like, So TreVeyon Henderson, I think, does a great job of taking pressure off of McCord, especially because, like you said, McCord comes out and starts a little slow. I think this game was two scores at half, something like that.
13-0, yeah.
But then TreVeyon Henderson comes out in the third quarter, busts a big run, first thing into the third quarter. That takes so much pressure off them at that point. And then kind of what Sonny was alluding to, that gives them the opportunity to rest some of these guys too. So, not too terribly much to talk about from the game. It was pretty much, a shellacking. Ohio State ended up with over 400 yards. I don't even know if Minnesota hit 200. So, but yeah, this was more so just a test to see, I guess, how prepared these guys look for Michigan. And also, again, if they're feeling pressure coming into this Michigan game, I think it would have showed this week as well. So that's something of note because they also got to realize, we have to take care of business this week before we even think about that game. So they did a good job of not looking ahead. I mean, they handle business. It's not easy to go win a Big Ten game 37-3. So, we can give them that little bit of fair criticism, but I mean, they're like you said, they're just getting better and better with each game. Earlier in the season, I would have picked Michigan to win, but I'm picking Ohio State to win that game. Yeah. So overall, pretty impressive performance. I liked it.
Yeah, and I think we do want to take a moment and talk about Minnesota here too, because Athan Kaliak-Manis, I pulled these stats from CFBstats.com. Athan Kaliak-Manis versus 3 ranked team this season. 26 for 59, so that's a 44% completion percentage. 267 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 turnovers, 77.5 rating, which is the worst in the Big Ten of any teams who have played a ranked team. That's not good.
Mm-mm.
I came into this season seeing Athan Kaliak-Manis for who he was last year, seeing his body type, seeing kind of the bigger arm that he's able to play with and throw with, and saying, listen, if he develops properly, he could be an NFL, a guy drafted in the NFL. I'm not saying he's going to start. I'm not saying it, but he could be a guy who's drafted in the NFL and teams look at him and say, hey, this guy has some upside. We can use him. I think that was a horrible take at the beginning of the season because he looks nothing like what you would want him to be. At this point, I'm almost wondering if I would rather have Deacon Hill instead of Athan Kaliak-Manis. I know that's kind of a stretch, but he is just not playing well against these ranked teams. And even, what was it, the Purdue game the other week, where he had 3 touchdown passes, he was 18 for 42, so. And and part of it too is coaching. I don't know if they put him in the best position all the time. Man, he ran play action and was rolling to his left, and he's right-handed quarterback, so that's obviously not good for him to be rolling to his left. And there was a guy, he was pretty wide open. As wide open as you're going to get against this Ohio State secondary. And he's on the run. He goes to make the pass, and the guy in Athan just dirts it 5 yards in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
We can all look at that and say, Athan Kaliak-Manis, what are you doing there?
Yep.
But at the same time, it's why are you rolling him out to the left like that on play action and then make it? I don't know. Sonny, am I off base here? What do you think?
I don't think you're off base. Obviously, losing Ibrahim, all the attention got focused on him now this year, and he hasn't really developed. I don't think he's looked awful by any stretch. So I think he's just kind of mid. Just he is what he is. I wouldn't be surprised if Fleck in Minnesota tried to dabble in the transfer portal a little bit and tried to see if they can find someone to at least challenge him in the quarterback room. But I don't think you're wrong. I think basically your assessment's pretty fair.
Yeah. I do want to pull this up because what you were saying earlier, Justin, JBiz says Maryland took a lot out of Michigan. Ohio State should win. So, all right. Like we said, there's going to be a lot of people picking Ohio State. They're looking better. Justin, you have any thoughts on Minnesota before we end this one?
Yeah, just to touch on Kaliak-Manis, I haven't necessarily. I think he's looked bad as well. However, he's played better than Jeff Sims, so I'll leave you all with that. So it's relative.
That's a positive.
I've seen worse.
That's a positive. There you go. So yeah, they're going to get Jeff Sims out of the transfer portal. So.
Oh God, take him, please. I don't know how much we're paying him for NIL, but we need.
I don't even know if he has eligibility left, but
we need a refund for that NIL money.